Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to see you. My name is Maya Smith. I am the CEO and founder of the Doux. I'm here with my awesome model, Fabian. Tonight, we're going to show you how to mousse, def, and chill. I promised that we would show you some wash and go and twist out techniques with one product, and so that's what we're here to do. Be sure to stick around, comment, and watch our little presentation for a chance to win a free Mousse Def. This is the product that we'll be working with today, and I'm going to show you how to use it. I also wanted to take a second to tell you who I am, why you should care. Like I said, I'm the founder of the Doux. And I am a licensed stylist. I got licensed while I was still in high school. So I've been a licensed cosmetologist for about 25 years, 26 years. I have been not only a stylist, but a salon owner. And I developed the Doux when I was working with my military community. I actually developed Mousse Def because I wanted to help people style their hair in less time. Using less products. I believe that there is a direct relationship between how much time you spend styling your hair and how healthy your hair is ultimately. So I worked a couple of years to develop our products so that people would spend less time doing their hair, which means you do it more often, more frequently, and ultimately you have a healthier head of hair. So I'm going to show you how it works. This product will define and shine in one step. I'm going to show you two techniques, and I will show you the finished look once his hair is dry, the finished twist out look on my Instagram. So let's get started. The most important thing when you're starting any style is to section your hair first. We spend a lot of time, purchasing products and learning techniques, but half of the battle when it comes to getting your hair done, getting the style that you want is your prep time. If you just do everything, out of one big pineapple, and you don't section your hair first, most people find that they kind of get lost in the sauce, especially if your hair is super thick or super long or super curly. When you take the time to go ahead and section your hair, making sure that it's wet when you start, getting it detangled, taking the time and the effort to detangle your hair, at least with your fingers, you find that you work through the whole head of hair a lot faster. No matter how long, no matter how curly, whether you have tight curls, whether you have waves, sectioning I've found and I've taught my clients is a big deal. I'm going to start in the front of his hair just for production purposes. But I'll also show you the way that I have his hair blocked off. It only takes a second. I'm just doing it with my fingers. You don't have to have really fancy parts. It works a lot faster if you just section the hair in either 4 or 6 parts. I'm actually cheating a little bit because Fabian has an undercut. So I was able to get this, I'm going to be able to get this done a little faster. Because he doesn't have as much hair. For those of you who may wonder, what type of hair does he have? Anyone who's followed the Doux for any length of time knows that we focus a lot less on curl type and much more on hair density and thickness, porosity, and the size of his curls. I would say his hair is very, very dense. His curls are, I would say, medium to tight. But again, hair typing and the way that you would evaluate the size of a curl is all relative to your experience. So a lot of people would say that his curls are super, super tight, but because I've done so many different curl types, I may see it differently. So you want to focus more on how much hair you have how dense it is, how many hairs per square inch you have, and worry a lot less about the actual pattern, because the fortunate thing about Mousse Def is it works on every hair type, whether your curls are small or large. So the first step after we've sectioned it, you see it's really easy to just detangle. I'm just taking these little panels. I'll probably say this is about a half an inch of a parting, and just working through each section. I'm using a detail comb, but you can use your favorite hair detangling brush or comb, whatever works well. I'm a strong believer that whatever you're using that works well for you, where you feel like you're able to master it, is what you should be using. So I use the detail. You see, I didn't detangle his hair first. I just kind of broke it up in those sections. But this is our wash and go technique. I really just take small sections. If you have a larger brush, you can take larger sections. And once I get it, semi-detangled, then I just use my fingers. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but if I turn it this way, you can see the way his hair just kind of separates. And so I just kind of repeat that motion, that raking motion, until his hair tells me what it wants to do. You'll start to see those curls clump, and then I just let them go. The thing about Mousse Def, using one product to style the hair, is that you don't need a leave-in conditioner. You don't need to apply a gel before you do it, unless you just want more weight. This product has a leave-in conditioner in it. So there are a lot of humectants and hair softeners that will keep the hair soft and keep it from drying super crunchy. And also the detangling power that you see is a part of the formula. So there's no need to use a whole bunch of lotion or leave-in conditioner to get that slip and that softening. So I'm just pulling it through, and you see as his hair kind of tells me what it wants to do, I just let it go. And so this is what I'm talking about. As you know, if he had smaller curls, Mousse Def is just going to define the curls that you have. So it's not going to give you a curl pattern that you don't have, but it will show off and define even the tiniest of curls. It'll show what you've got. I probably should have detangled this first. So one of the things that a lot of people get worried about when they use a product in this class, a curl foam, is that the product will dry hazy, or because you see we're using quite a bit of mousse. It's natural for a lot of other foams to dry thick or hazy, or to flake once they dry. This won't. So it's okay to see a whole lot of lather on my hands. The product is designed to do that. That's what really creates the volume and helps those curls kind of separate and stand on top of each other without you having to put a lot of pressure on it or scrunch. There's no need to scrunch this product. You see, it's just kind of defining the curls that he has. You can stay where you are, but no. Just turn your neck. There you go. So you can see his curls are defined. I didn't even detangle it well first. I just did it with my fingers. And I chose, first of all, he's my kid. This is my son, Fabian. He's really not a kid, but he is a teenager. What I realized, though, working with my clients, those of you who are transitioning, number one, Mousse Def is incredible for men. Hair is hair. But also, when you're starting off your natural journey, trying to figure out how to get your hair styled in less time, most people are starting at about the year mark, which is about the length that he is, about that 6 inches. So it's really important it's important to me to show you like hair that exists for most of us that are starting. obviously this product works really well on super long hair. But when you're kind of like on the struggle bus in the middle, when you have that 6 inches of hair, I wanted to make sure you guys could see how curly hair is styled with one product at a moderate length. When it comes to deciding whether or not you want to do a wash and go versus a twist out, right? It's really kind of a personal choice. The wash and go, like I said, is just going to define the curls that you have. It's going to amplify and show off and define the curls that are already there. The twist out is going to give you a more uniform pattern. It's going to give you an artificial pattern. So it really just depends on what look you ultimately want. It's much more about the result than it is about the styling technique. A lot of you will find out that you're not really as much of a twist out girl. You really just want something quick, like a wash and go. If you even just look at the side that I started, it's already starting to settle and dry. So the difference with the wash and go and the twist out is the twist out, you'll definitely want to sit under a hooded dryer. The wash and go, you can air dry, you can hood dry, or you can diffuse. It's completely up to you based on the result that you want. Can you get that big brush? So once I get this front section done, I will show you the twist out technique. There's no rule that says you have to use a cream for a twist out. I know that's a common myth. You can actually use mousse for a twist out. In the salon, we don't have a lot of time for creams or oils to dry under the dryer. So we also created Mousse Def to twist out for the clients that wanted it, or to do rod sets. And it dried a lot faster for us. So if you have a detail comb or you have just your detangling brush, you can take smaller or larger sections. The biggest difference when it comes to whether or not if you have tighter curls or looser curls, you want to take about the size of the section that your curls are. So if you say you have, super tiny curls, then you want to take like 1/4 of an inch each section. That'll help you work through it faster than if you just took a big chunk. Like I said, you make work for yourself if you take too much hair or section too much hair at a time. If you have larger, looser curls, then you have the liberty of taking more of a section. You can take it, a 1/2 inch to an inch of a section. Some people take, big chunks like 2 inches and kind of clump those curls together. But for this is more demonstrating your smaller curls, your tighter curls. So, so for him, I think these sections are about 1/2 inch, 1/3 of an inch. Thank you. Yes. It came in for backup with my my larger detangling brush. But Mousse Def definitely makes it a lot easier for me to work through it. So yeah, I'm gonna show you with my hand too, just what the product looks like when you're combing through it. When you see those curls start to separate, you can take them one by one and pull them apart, or you can just drop them and let them fall. Don't worry if you have big sections, because once that dries, when the curls dry in that compressed state, you'll be able to pull them apart once they're dry and create as much or as little volume as you want. A big mistake that people make when they're trying to create volume or style with a mousse is they get to zhuzhing it up while it's still wet. Don't do that. Let it completely dry. Don't touch it at all. Let it dry in those big jerry curl looking clumps. And then once the hair is completely dry, I'll show you how you'll be able to just pull those curls apart with your fingers. And that's how you get a lot of volume with no frizz. If you're doing too much while it's still wet, it's going to dry, frizzy, and that kind of rat's nest effect that you don't want. So the best thing to do is just apply the product, smooth it through, and leave it alone until it's dry. So I'm going to have you sit this way, put your knees that way. So I'm doing the same thing back here. And you can see just the difference. This is just his virgin hair with nothing in it, and this is with Mousse Def. I'm going to show you another technique we call double dipping. Instead of using 3 layers of product, once the bubbles go away on Mousse Def, as the product starts to settle, you can just add another small kind of layer if you want a little bit more hold, or if you have parts of your hair that tend to be more resistant. You see all of his hair is basically just kind of relaxed and laid down with the mousse. But if you know that you have problem areas, you can just do what we call double dip. You can add a little bit more Mousse Def as the product is drying, and it'll give you additional hold. So the do's and don'ts of using Mousse Def. Number 1, you want to do this on completely clean hair. There's nothing on his hair. There's no oil. There's no greasy leave-in. You can use our leave-in, but typically people are only using that if their hair is color treated or very porous and they need a buffer between their hair and the product. And that's kind of like a personal thing based on the result that they want, but it's not necessary. But you definitely don't want to have any old product in your hair when you're using the mousse, because oils will kind of break up the polymer that's in the product that give it that shine, and you won't get the definition that you're looking for. So this is an example of the twist out technique. I'm just going to do both on one head of hair so you can see. Matter of fact, let me kind of block this off so you can see. Same sauce. We're just taking, I'd say, a 1 inch by 1 inch section. When it comes to twist outs, you can decide how large or how small those twists are. Again, I'm big on looking at your curl pattern and the desired result and deciding how much of a twist that you want. The twist out technique is really cool as well because you can do really tiny twists, or you can create big, beautiful beach waves. So if you blow dry your hair before you apply the product, you can apply the Mousse Def to wet or dry hair. And when you apply it to dry hair and use larger sections, you get like big old beach waves. So it's pretty versatile. You don't need a lot. And this is like that one product that you can take with you on vacation. You see how large these twists are? I will show you the finished result of the twist technique. I'll post it tonight, as a matter of fact, on my Instagram at I Love the Doux. And we'll also have it at Sally Beauty. And to show you how much Mousse Def I'm using per section, I usually use like 2 pumps, 2.5 pumps for every section. Don't count the pumps, just make sure that the hair is saturated, and don't freak out if you see a lot of white. That's fine. It's going to settle. It will not flake. It will not haze. It's going to settle. So we didn't do any detangling. Like I literally just dunked his head under some water before we started. But my twist out technique, you do not have to be a master at the twist. You don't have to do a 3-strand twist or a flat twist. You really can do an old school rope over. Like I know how to do a 3-strand twist and a flat twist, but it's not practical for regular people who aren't necessarily well versed in technique. So you can do just a very simple technique and let the product do the work. And in the essence of time, that's what we're gonna do. But you'll see when we pull these apart, and I'll take a picture of it or a video of it. When we pull these apart, he'll have a really pretty natural uniform curl pattern. How are we on time? That's fine. I know a lot of you guys are just seeing like half of my face, but of course the hair is more important. So yeah, so don't apply any oil before you use it, and don't manipulate the hair before it dries. Just trust the process, trust the mousse, it's gonna do its thing. Yeah. So yeah, my twisting technique is what it is. If you are a big time twist out person, you'll be happy to know that you don't need a million twists. And they don't even all have to be the same size. Just get it done. As long as the hair is well detangled. Number one, that you detangled it well as you were putting the product on, and that it was well saturated. It's really important to not be afraid of the product and what it does. Get the hair like fully juicy, fully saturated. It's okay to have it all the way down to the scalp. That's going to eliminate those frizzy roots. Those frizzy roots that we all cry about with natural hair. Just getting the whole section really saturated. It's okay to have an excess of product because you want every single strand to be completely encapsulated with the mousse. So again, like the product is bomb, but the actual technique is not magic. Anybody can do this. Most of us as little girls in the culture experienced the 2-strand twist, and mom and auntie weren't necessarily masters at natural hair. It's just, kind of a cultural staple that doesn't take a lot of rocket science to do. They really are just plaits. The biggest difference is that his hair is just super saturated. And if you look, I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can already see the mousse just starting to settle on this one. There aren't any more bubbles. All you see is shine. So this is the wash and go technique. And as you can see, like it's not reverting, it's doing what it's supposed to do. And this is the twist out technique. I'm gonna flip him this way so I can finish with the wash and go. So we can make our time. And then we'll talk a little bit and I'll be able to answer your incredible questions. Again, be sure to stick around and comment so you can win some free Mousse Def. Turn this way. And you can count the pumps. If you can hear that squishing sound, those are the pumps. Another tip and trick for this product that I use in the salon a lot is to prep the entire section. That's another option that you have. You'll find out what works for you. Is just to kind of saturate whatever, however I showed you how to saturate the entire section with the mousse. And you've seen me do that on some of my videos. It's just to do the whole doggone thing. And that also kind of helps you double dip, because if you need more mousse, you can apply it while you're working through it. But if you do that, you can time how quickly. Oh, we're using it's all it's all moussey, but you know that thing is thangin'. This is a Mousse Def Texture Foam, and you can find it at Sally Beauty and sallybeauty.com. So same. Now I've got, this is just a variation of how you can do it at home. If it works faster for you, I'm just taking the smaller sections, doing, I mean, the same technique, just kind of separating his curls as they show me what they want to do. But I saturated the whole section before I started, instead of doing a little bit of mousse at a time. And I think for a lot of you, that actually will help you save some mousse. I tend to use a lot less when I do one whole section at a time. But it really is hard to use too much of this product, because it's self-leveling. As it dries, it's going to even out. You won't have chunky pieces or pieces that flake or that are hazy. It all just kind of evens out as it's drying. So yeah, this is my real life, my real office in the interim as we're working on our new space for the Doux. And Fabian, I would say, we wash your hair once every 2 weeks. I try to get him to do it once a week. But this is the process. And all my boys, my husband, I only have boys in my house. Even my dog is a boy. Yeah, I have 5 boys, and they're all here. So they all use Mousse Def. I use Mousse Def. I have a fade. My husband has a fade. We still use it. It's awesome product for wavers. Or if you if you do a do-rag or a wave cap, a wave cap. It's the Holy Grail. It's official. It's been awarded the Holy Grail by Naturally Curly, so it's legit. We're legit. But yeah, I thought it was important to use, number one, some thicker hair, some shorter hair, and some smaller curls, because that's kind of the reality for most of the people that need and get the most benefit from this product. So Fabian was my go-to guy of the moment. And I'm sorry that some of you may just be looking at my chin. I can't tell if you are or not. But I know you can see these curls snapping. So yeah, so if you turn on your favorite album, you should be about halfway through it by the time you finish going through your hair with Mousse Def. And that really also depends on how long it is, the size of your curls. Like I said, the size of the sections that we're going to take should always be in proportion to the size of your curls. So all curls, like no discrimination, no, this is not a 4C product or a 2C product. The only difference, the only way that you change how you're using this product is by making the section smaller if your curls are smaller, and larger if they're larger. Not touching it until it's dry and not messing with it. Using products underneath it is the best way to get your bomb results from Mousse Def. So you can go ahead and go to the front. So you can already see, like, he's drying, and you don't see any white stuff on any part that I've touched when we started. You can kind of lean in a little bit. I'm hoping that you can see that. And like I said, this section that we did the twist out in, I'm gonna dry it and just like video it so you can see just what the difference in the result is. But the shine and the definition is still gonna be the same with Mousse Def. So you see the parts that are white, I just went over. Anything that I haven't touched is already settling, so there's no flaking or whatever. It's kind of glistening because it's shiny, and I will also be able to show you the shine once it's dry. All right. You can go and sit under the dryer for me. You have a seat right there. And I am going to answer some of your questions. Now you can see my whole face. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. Again, we are going to give away a free Mousse Def. Grab one that hasn't been defiled by foam. It's right here. This is Mousse Def Texture Foam. It is the holy grail. It is the GOAT. I have no problem saying it is the best mousse developed in my salon for real people solving a real problem. And I'm so glad to bring it to you and to have it at Sally and Sally.com. So yeah, you can follow me at We Do and at I Love the Doux. We Do is my personal Instagram. It's OUIDOUX, like we, French, we do. And you can go to Sally to purchase the product. I would love to answer your questions if we have a moment. And then I'll let you get back to your life. So, do I use a diffuser? I do. The thing about diffusers is it's really a personal choice when it comes to how you want your hair to dry. Diffusers are good if you have tighter curls because you want that water in the product to evaporate as quickly as it can while the hair is encapsulated with the product. So when your hair is soaking wet and you have saturated it with a styler, the diffuser helps. It's the quickest way to get the water that would otherwise swell and frizz your hair out while the product is doing its thing. If you're a person with super porous hair, it may not be your best choice. It's not, I wouldn't say that diffusing is universal for everyone, but it's a great option if you want to dry fast. But what you should know about Mousse Def is it also dries really, really fast with your regular old, like nothing fancy. I know I have a lot of fancy equipment, you know, the $300, $400 blow dryer and diffuser, but it works just as well with like your, you know, homegirl hooded dryer or the little thing that hooks up to your dryer. It is a very fast drying product. So you can air dry. If you're like me and you like a softer finish, you can air dry. But if your hair tends to frizz or swell, I strongly recommend always just go ahead and sit under the dryer 15 minutes or diffuse. What can I do to refresh my curls days after? So you can use a little bit more Mousse Def. You can, I like to just wet my hands and just use a little bit more mousse. I'm waiting on the next question. Do we have any more questions? Okay. No, this brand is not for natural hair only. I started, obviously, my focus group were people with not only natural, but transitioning hair. So we actually started the brand, developing the brand, working with people who had relaxed hair or people who were what I call straight gangsters. They wear their hair straight most of the time and wanted a curly option. But when we worked in Germany, I had a lot of local nationals. So my training and my background as a stylist has been very multicultural. So I started my career on straight hair and really actually had to be trained all over again to do textured hair. So the Doux is a brand that works on every single kind of hair. I have clients with, you know, with natural hair, and I also have clients that, you know, have hair that is straight or wavy. Caucasian, Indian, Hispanic, Latinx, Black, all of that. This is not, hair is much more about texture. We're finding and we're learning to acknowledge that it is a texture thing. It is a lot less about race or nationality. The nuances of how we style our hair and what's beautiful to us have a lot to do with where we're from. But hair texture, 80% of the world has some kind of texture. And I could definitely vouch for that because I've been all over the place. Yeah, so from our fans on Instagram, my curls aren't spiraling as tight when I was younger. Is it a change or mishandled? Okay, so that could be a little bit of both. As we get older, our hormones change, so we just have less hair, and that can make your hair feel a lot less dense. It can also make your curls just feel looser, even if they aren't. We're born with the hair that we have. We tend to lose a little bit as we get older. And if you're, a big heat freak or you're spending a lot of time detangling or abusing your hair, you can also progressively, naturally kind of stretch and straighten your curl pattern. If you have it in a ponytail a lot, or you're in a bun a lot, or if your hair isn't well hydrated, the hair will naturally just feel a lot less curly. So it could be a little bit of both. I would definitely assess just what your hairstyling habits are. And if all else fails, it's a really, not just to plug Mousse Def again, but it's a great way. I love to use Mousse Def if I've been wearing my hair straight, because it does kind of help you see how well your hair is reverting. Your mousses, your gels, your products that help to bring moisture to the hair will help you kind of see how well your hair is responding to moisture and to humidity. Would I recommend Big Papa or Mousse Def for hair shorter than Fabian's for wash and go? Really, the biggest difference between the two of them is how much weight you want to use. If you want a more volumized finish, then you want to go with Mousse Def. If you like a little bit more weight as your hair is driving, then I would do Big Papa. Big Papa and Mousse Def are like cousins. They're not necessarily in competition with each other. They can be used together, but you have to do it in moderation. So you can use a little bit of Big Papa and then do the same thing, the same process that you just saw me do with Mousse Def. They can be used in tandem, but if you wanted to choose one or the other, the biggest differentiating factor is that Big Papa is heavier. So it's going to weigh the hair down as it's drying in a way that Mousse Def doesn't. Mousse Def is just there to clump and define the curls, but it's going to dry according to your hair's most natural form. I notice that you use it on dry hair. Does it give a firmer hold? Absolutely. So the less water that is in the hair, the more hold you're going to have. So it's almost like, super, super wet hair is going to dilute whatever you put on it. And that's just a universal rule. It's not just for Mousse Def. So I like to use Mousse Def on wet or dry hair. If I don't have the time to wet it and I'm, getting back from the gym or whatever, I'll throw some mousse in. You can absolutely use Mousse Def on dry hair and have a great result because there is water in it. But if you don't have water in your hair, you're going to have a firmer hold and more control in your result. I've tried the mousse several times. I love it. What can I do to minimize shrinkage? Shrinkage is your friend. I don't mean in any way to dismiss or to minimize shrinkage as a struggle. I'm a Black girl and I experience the shrinkage. When I have hair, it's a thing for us, right? But shrinkage is really the most clearest indication of what one of the previous questions was referring to. It really has a lot to do with how well your hair is responding to moisture and how well your hair is retaining its own shape. The biggest way to eliminate shrinkage is just to have longer hair. Shrinkage is something that when your hair is longer, those curls tend to stretch out when you use product. But I would say the most immediate way to slow shrinkage down is to diffuse. Like I was saying, if we can get that product on the hair, get all of those hair strands encapsulated with the styling product and kind of freeze it into place with the diffuser, get that water that's in your hair to evaporate faster so that the product can hold it in that elongated position, it's going to dry and appear to have less shrinkage. But when you wet it and when you shampoo, you want to see your hair revert. It's a good thing. The strength is in the curl. I have a patch of hair that doesn't define and always looks frizzy. Any suggestions? Welcome to the club. Here's the truth. Nobody has the same curl pattern all across the board. None of us do. Most of us have like one ancestor here. We got grandma here. There's a landing strip of hair that does its own thing. This tends to be the least curly part of most of our hair. And it actually has quite a bit to do with the way that the hair grows and the size and shape of the follicles, the way that they lay on the scalp. And that is your DNA. So there's not a lot that you can necessarily do about your curl pattern. But one thing that you can do is on the parts of your hair that tend to be a little bit straighter, you want to use a little bit less product so that your natural curl pattern can kind of rebound and show itself off. If there's too much product there, that part of your hair tends to be weighed down and you get less, there's too much weight on the curl. So on my clients that tend to have what I call the landing strip, that part of the hair that just doesn't curl a lot, I can twist them out. I can throw a rod in there, or I just put a little bit less product there so that it's not weighed down by the product. What do I recommend for maintaining moisture on 4C hair tight curls? So maintaining moisture has a lot more to do with what you're doing before you style than it does after. Maintaining moisture is a regular practice of hair care. So your moisture to the hair actually happens during your shampoo and conditioning process. And so that's why, shameless plug again, we created Mousse Def, because it's my belief that the more frequently you are shampooing and hydrating your hair, the more susceptible your hair is, the more open your hair is to receiving those moisture molecules, and the healthier your hair is over time. If it didn't take you 5 hours to style your hair, it's more than likely you're going to style and refresh and shampoo and condition and detangle and trim your hair on the regular basis. And that practice is really what keeps the hair moisturized, because moisture doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that has to be nurtured. It's not something that can be placed into the hair and sustained forever. More about applying it 3 times. Oh, double dipping. So the double dipping is something that I do all the time, but I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. So I had to give it a name. There are a couple of ways to do it. You saw me do it with Fabian, where I styled his hair like I normally would. A lot of times I'll have clients that have raggedy ends that we didn't get a chance to clip, or people that have really porous, frizzy hair. So as the product is settling, you can kind of take a look at the parts of your hair that are kind of, if they're starting to frizz again, or if you just know that you have a problem section. Most of us is like right there. You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had a relaxer, you know that this part is the part that frizzes a lot. Wait for the product to, the bubbles will settle. So your hair should be all black or whatever your natural color is. And then you can reapply Mousse Def on top of that section. You don't need to do it for the whole head if you don't want to, but the double dipping kind of gives you 2 layers of control instead of you having to use, a leave-in, a mousse, a gel, a butter custard pudding, and then another gel, and then another mousse. You can just use that one product. Yes, follow us on social. Sally Beauty, thank you so much for letting me hang out with my people. You can follow me at I Love the Doux. That is our Instagram. That's where you can find us. That's where you can find Fabian's finished look. And my personal Instagram is WeDoux, OUIDOUX. That's just me and the fam. Yeah, and so tonight was all about the GOAT, the number one, the numero uno, Mousse Def Texture Foam. We will reach out to you for details for those of you who won the giveaway. And again, you can find it at sally.com. Sallybeauty.com. And you can shop at Sally Beauty. And again, find it at Sally Beauty on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, Moose Decking and Chilling. I'm Maya Smith, CEO and founder of the Doux. I had a great time, and I'm so glad to have done this with you. We will see you next time.